Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadiya Purnameva Vashishyate.
Namaste. I was working with a student a few days ago, and we were talking about being spiritual, and I was trying to explain to him that being spiritual was very different than being what we knew life to be before we became spiritual. That this concept of apotheosis, this process of becoming divine, did have an evidence procedure, and it did have tangible results. And so I was trying to explain to him that the unfortunate thing is that we come in with certain patterning. We come in with a certain understanding of what it is to be a human being. And we don't really know what it's going to be like when we rebirth our bodies in the life force, when we actually change the reward circuits in our brain so that we look for what we really do need. And it's very difficult to explain that to people. Now, as C.S. Lewis had said, what natural man doesn't have is spiritual life. We call them both life, but they're very different as a photograph is different from a location, or a statue is different from a person. Now, in order for a natural man to become spiritual, he would have to undergo a transformation that would be the equivalent of changing a statue into a person or a photograph into a location. And that's what this thing called apotheosis really is. It is a process of the human becoming divine. It's hard to create some sort of window of interest as to why would you want to leave the outside world? Why would you want to leave physical reality? So I tried to explain to him it would be kind of like going somewhere where there were people that had all these brand new automobiles, and the automobiles all had water in them. And they had water in the gas tanks, and these people were using these automobiles in a way that somebody would use an automobile that had water in it because it wouldn't run. Like you might be able to play the radio if the battery worked, and you could use it to sit in, you could turn the wheel, you could push it around maybe even. But it wouldn't be doing what it was that we know automobiles are supposed to do. And it's kind of like the same thing with humans in the adult state. See, humans in the adult state have capabilities that humans in the larvae state don't. But just like in that population of people that were using automobiles that just had water in them, in order for you to make the automobiles do what they were designed to do, there would be some things you'd have to change. And the same is true with becoming spiritual, becoming the human in the adult state. So we come in and we draw from particles and waves. We draw from the outside world, duality, fear and limitation. And that's all we really know. And what we have to do, just like you would have to do with the automobile, is you'd have to get all the water out. So purification, shaucha in yoga, is an important part. In fact, that's why certain forms of Christianity, the baptism comes before the Holy Communion, because you really can't get spirit into your body because of this pattern that it has. It's looking for this other energy field. It's looking for a different fuel. And just like with the motorcycle or the automobile, you have to get all of the water out. And then it's not just about getting the water out. You also have to replace it with gasoline, the fuel that will actually do what cars and engines do, is they run. And the same is true with the human being. You have to get fear and limitation out of the body. You've got to purge it of its dependency upon the outside world. And then you have to invoke this life force, prana, the life force, into the body. And through repetition and practice comes absorption. And then we change the reward circuits in the brain that we're actually looking for, a much more subtle resource than the one we originally came in looking for. But when you do that, you have capabilities that you didn't have prior. And that becomes some of the benefits that we'll talk about as far as what does it look like when you are connected to spirit? Because humans in the adult state, first of all, are virtuous. And humans in the adult state don't need laws. We need laws to uphold the conduct that we do naturally when we're humans in the adult state. And it's not because you're afraid of some sort of punishment. It's literally because you see things differently than you did prior. That your whole identity starts to expand beyond the limits of your physical body. And you start to see that what you're putting out is what you're getting back. And you like yourself. That's why it's so important to understand yoga as a complete science. That they're lifestyle strategies that were designed to do something. And if you modify them, you're going to change the return that you're trying to get on your efforts. Namaste.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamaniya Purnameva Vashishyate.